Hey everybody, I'm up at Haslemere Motorcycles again today, and I'm going to be taking out the brand new Suzuki GSX-S1000. I do believe I may very well be the first independent reviewer to do a road test on one of these without, the supervision of Suzuki or one of their press days, which I'm very excited about. This, by the way, I'll just point out, is one of the specials that Haslemere has done. They very often take bikes and do their own special graphics packs. They did a Sheen Katana in the past, and I did ask them, are you going to do a special of this one day? And they were like, yes, definitely. So I'm very interested to see that. So yes, this is the brand new 2021 Suzuki GSX-S1000. I've ridden the old GSX-1000, I've ridden the 750, I've ridden the Katana. I've ridden, a lot of Suzukis, so it would be fun to compare this to the other ones. This bike is a mixture of old and new. The swing arm on this model is actually picked from the 2016 design. The engine is very similar, but they've changed some valves. There's some electronic differences. It's got a fly-by-wire throttle fully. Things like that. I'm not going to get into every different technical specification and difference between the two bikes, because at the end of the day, I just want to know what it feels like to ride, because that's the most important thing. But a couple of figures to mention: it's got about 150 brake horsepower, which is actually about 2 more than the previous model. They've changed the tuning on it, so it now produces its peak output at 11,000 RPM rather than 10,000 RPM. It's very small differences. 70 mile an hour in 6th gear is under 5,000 RPM. Are you surprised? No, it's 1,000. Can we still roll on in 6th? Yes, you can. There, of course, isn't a huge amount of wind protection because this is a naked, although I'll be fair, I'm not feeling any on my lower legs or my bottom half of my stomach or anything too much there. I'm feeling it mostly on my upper chest and head. Now, obviously, one of the benefits of going to a fly-by-wire throttle is you can have a full blipper and quick shifter on this, which it has got, and so far it feels pretty smooth. Something I will say about this bike, this is from the perspective of someone who's 6'4", this bike is really comfy. Like, my back is in the right position, and I also have a bad back, so I'm sitting really nice and comfortably. My arms are at just the right length, I'm not leant over too much. This is just spot on for the seating position. This is more comfortable than my XJ6, and I bought that for its comfort. I'll tell you something though, my XJ6 doesn't go like this. It does not! Okay, well now we got off the motorway. Yes, I was saying, very comfortable, very smooth, nice engine. Plenty of power, but it's not ridiculous. I mean, if you really get up in the revs, it's going to get a lot more ridiculous, but it feels usable low down. It's very comfortable in both its power delivery and the way you ride it, but also its actual physical comfort of the seat is squidgy enough. The ride it's firm, but it's not too firm. The bikes always surprise me. You think you're going to go into a review like this thinking about, what's it going to be like to ride, what sort of power is it going to have, blah, blah. I was never expecting to find that it is this physically comfortable. I know I seem like I'm making a big point of the comfort, but seriously, my back doesn't hurt, and it's been hurting for days. The old GSX-S1000 had a few people saying that its throttle was a little bit jerky on and off at the bottom, and I do know what they mean by that. It felt like it had a little bit of an uptake you had to get, and then it was smooth, but if you let completely off the throttle and then you got back on, you kind of got this little jerk. And, I mean, although this is a little bit twitchy because it's in second and it's 1,000, you don't notice it quite so much. It does feel improved. You just gently roll on, and that initial uptake is smoothed out. This bike won't stop you getting lost like I've got, but at least this has given me the opportunity to try this out, crawling around in town, slow speeds with the clutch. Clutch isn't too heavy. Obviously, it is an assisted clutch. So all Suzuki's got the same sort of thing mostly these days. This assisted clutch, you know, the easy start function that they come with, stuff like that. It's all pretty standard across the board. Low RPM assist is another one. Basically, when you're at low RPMs, I think it helps stop the bike from stalling. It'll obviously make this easier to manoeuvre, but this is already very easy to manoeuvre. Can I please get out of this car park? I did not mean to come in here. This is not where I wanted to go. But this is realism. This is what people will be doing with these bikes. Well, obviously some people will take one track, but the majority of people are not riding these things flat out, you know, banging off the limiter through every gear. That's not the reality of people actually using these bikes in most of the examples, and for that reason I don't understand why many reviews come from that perspective. The fans just come on, and my god, that makes a high-pitched sound. Is that the fan making that noise? I assume it was. This actually feels very light for 1,000. It feels very manoeuvrable around town. I'm currently lost in town working my way back out, and I've completely I'm not thinking about trying to, you know, get this thing around or worrying about, you know, doing tight turns and stuff, or doing U-turns and things like that. Just my luck. Yes, that definitely is the fan making that noise. It's quite a high-pitched wee. This really is balanced lovely. This has got a very fun feeling to it, quite a sort of Larry fun, not a scary Larry, more of just a fun Larry, a very, I like it, I'm really liking it. Why does this always happen to me? Let me have the open road. Oh look, I can overtake. No, I can't because there's double whites. Oh, it sounds nice. I like it. The turn-in on this reminds me of the 750. I much prefer the turn-in on the 750 to the old 1000, and this feels more like the turn-in for that 750 I remember. A very confidence-inspiring, easy turn-in that just goes where you want it to go, and it turns tighter than you think it's going to. It just feels really nice. Brakes are immense. You can pound that with a quick shifter going down, and you can really knock off some speed without too much trouble, and it feels stable because you're not doing too much and too many, you know, in one place. It's a very altogether feeling thing. And also we're now stopping on traffic again. Now I need to find somewhere to pull over and take some pictures and stuff, and we can talk about the looks and a few other bits on it. Now I do know the looks are going to divide people somewhat, and the one thing I will say is this: you don't look at the bike when you're riding it, and I do not care how this bike looks now for how it feels. Right, well, as they're all going slowly, I've got a gap behind me. Let's see how these brakes are, shall we? Right, from 30. Jesus. Oh, that growl. This is beautiful. Not the ideal roads for 1000, but it's a good place to test it. The ride on this is, it's firm and sporty, but it's not jarring, which is again adding to that comfort. I mean, I have been riding, for the past couple of weeks I've been riding a 125cc scooter which pretty much doesn't have any rear suspension. So to jump onto this, and it feels sporty but not be jarring me and jumping me out of the seat, is really very nice. I just found a nice secluded little spot here. Thought we'd have a little closer look at the bike. Side on, I actually think that looks really nice. It needs a tail tidy, clearly. It's just a European legislation thing. I have to put the number plate behind the rear wheel. We can get rid of that. The grey colour, I thought it was going to be straight primer grey, but it's not. It's like grey with a sparkle. So it actually looks a bit more... It's sort of a more blue as well than a primer grey, but I don't mind that so much. As you can see, it doesn't actually have a lot of bodywork to it. You know, you've got a tail, which is quite nice and neat, with your pillion seat on it. And there's a couple of bits of plastics and fairings here. You've got these little winglet type things that are more of a... I think they're more of a sort of a what would you call it, a reference, a gesture to the MotoGP style of wings rather than something that's actually functionally doing anything. But of course, this is the thing that a lot of people are going to talk about, is the headlight. Now, this has been specially designed to be a very good headlight and stuff, but it's an interesting look. Transformerish, robotish. It depends what your tastes are like as to whether you like that or not. I will say this, in pictures it looks a lot worse, and when I first saw it I was like, oh. But now I've been around it for a while and I've sort of got to know the bike a little bit, I actually don't mind it at all. It's such a small thing that I really don't think it matters that much. The comfort and the feel of this bike so far has been absolutely lovely, like really nice. The levers look a bit different to Suzuki's stock ones. A little bit rounder in places. I don't know if that's a new design or shape. They've put longer handlebars on this to give you more leverage, and maybe that's what's giving this the feel more like the 750, that light turn in and feels very sort of planted. It's the thing I really liked about the 750. What else is there to mention? Oh, actually, another interesting detail is that the plastics, they've texturised them here. And I wouldn't say this gives you any more grip than here. You know, it's more the shape where your knee cuts in that's going to give you any grip, but it's kind of made to look like camouflage in a way. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's interesting. What I will say about the headlight, which is good, is they've kept it right up against the forks. They've brought it all in. You know, it's not like some other brands that they all have a headlight, but they'll put it on a big old stalk right out here, and it makes it look silly. That from the side, I think you'll probably all agree, from the side, that looks fine. And the clock's being sort of popped on the top there in this little pod is an interesting look, but there's nothing wrong with it. Functionality, it's fine. And that is another thing, actually. We'll have a little look at the screen. As I mentioned, this has got a quick shifter and fly-by-wire throttle and all that sort of stuff. And you can look into the specs if you want to know more. But we have 3 power modes, basically. You have A, B, and C. A is like aggressive, B is more sort of in the middle, and C is more sedate. I've got it in B because it's 1000. I'm not going to be really using that much of it. We have a gear position indicator here. We have traction control on 4 or 5 levels. Let's just check that. Off to 5, and I've got it in like 2. Because again, I'm not looking to do any damage to this bike. Fuel position, rev count around the side, temperature, all the usual bits and pieces you'd expect to see on this screen. I will say, this sort of TFT screen isn't quite as clear as some of the other ones that I've seen. You know, when they do these screens and the white almost looks silvery, like it's reflecting the sun, it does do that to a point, but it's not nearly as shiny and bright that it stands out as much. Even in the sun, you can see it, but it doesn't have that sort of pop and shine. So in the dappled light of the trees as you're going along, it's not as clear as to see. You can see what it says on it, it's just not as clear. Especially this information down here that's kind of in blue, you kind of lose that. Well, I say it's in blue. Is it actually in blue? Yeah, no, I think it is in blue. It's kind of hard to tell. But enough yapping. Let's get back to riding. Of course, as they say, looks are in the eye of the beholder. So if you like the look of this bike, great. If you don't, whatever. But what I will say here is, if you would have got this bike and then you're like, oh, I don't know about the looks of it, just get a ride on one. Get in the same room as it so you can get a proper look at it. Get on one and ride it. Now, if you watch my reviews regularly, you'll know that I am very much a fan of smaller CC engine bikes, and normally when I'm riding 1000 I will make a comment or a point of, you can't really use this thing on the road and it feels like such overkill. I haven't used, you know, all of this bike on the road, and it would be difficult still to use all this bike on the road. However, it does feel much more usable. It doesn't feel like you're not using the bike at all. You can actually use it a bit. If I remember rightly, I think this is coming in at about 300 quid less than the old GSX-S1000, and quite a big chunk over, or under, should we say, the Katana, which is based on the old GSX-S1000. So, I mean, depending on which one you want, there's some money to be had, and this has got newer stuff on it. It's got that fly-by-wire throttle with a quick shift and everything. I know I've said it's comfy, but this riding position is so good for me. I'm absolutely loving this. If you're a tall rider, try one of these. Seriously. You're ruining this for me, Volvo. You can just lean on that inside bar and it just tracks through so nicely. The front end of this is really planted. It's got quite a strong dead ahead feel, but I think probably because of those longer bars, it does feel light, and with a bit of counter steering, it really flicks around. I have to say, I came into this thinking, you know, it's another 1000cc naked. I'm not the biggest fan of thousands, you know, it'll be alright, but no. This is my favourite 1000cc bike that I've ever ridden. This thing feels amazing. It rides great. The handling is sublime. I really like this bike, and I really was not expecting to come out of it like that. Still, yeah, I'm going to go with my old school thing of what I will always say, which is, yeah, I prefer it was like an 800, 750, so I could use the engine a little bit more. But you can use the engine a bit in this. It isn't utterly ridiculous, but then again, it is utterly ridiculous because it's 1000. One of the things about this that stands out is it's just the controllability of it. Like, it's got tons of grunt, like so much grunt, and it's got immense brakes, and it feels like it's going to turn in so easily, and it can be light and flickable if you want it to be with a bit of counter steering. It feels like you can really control this bike, like you can actually throw it around a bit, be a little bit aggressive with it. Obviously, I'm not riding ridiculous speeds, and you're never going to get the full out of 1000 on the street, which is why I still really like smaller CC bikes. But I can't change the fact that I absolutely love this one, and it's, as I say, without question, this is the favourite 1000 I've ever ridden. As I say, thanks to Haslemere Motorcycle for giving me the opportunity to be one of the first, or the first person independently to get to ride one of these for a review, or first ride, should we say. Reviews, you need a bike for a while. First rides like this, you know, you just get a feel for it, and the feel of that thing was not what I was expecting in the slightest. Absolutely love it. If you're interested in one of these, take it for a test ride. Seriously, just take it for a test ride. Forget what it looks like, just take it for a test ride, and you're going to see it for something quite different from what you feel about it when you first look at it. That is a good bike, a properly good bike. If you enjoyed this video and you like my realistic approach to reviews, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 100k. If you found this video interesting, useful, or you thought it's good that I do things differently, hit that like button, I would appreciate it. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please consider supporting it through Patreon for as little as basically £1 a month, and that gives you videos early, part of the Q&A, and all sorts of other benefits beside. I think it's a pretty good deal, and obviously it's the only way that I'm able to do this and bring these videos to you. Right, until the next one. Bye-bye.